So several years ago, I had basal cell cancer right here on the side of my cheek, and I remember before I had the surgery, I was a little worried about what would happen if a scar showed on my face, because I didn't know how much they were going to be taken out. And I was thinking about that this week. Does anybody remember the movie Jaws? You remember that scene in the movie where the three guys, Brody, Quinn, and Hooper, they were on Quinn's ship, and they were talking about going and hunting the shark, and they all started comparing their scars. And I believe it was Brody, the police officer, whose only scar was his appendix scar. Well, when I think about that, I think about this scar that's on my face. It really doesn't show. And I had another little one over here from surgery that doesn't really show. But I was thinking about scars the other day because my friend Jack just recently had bypass surgery, and he had showed off his scars on Facebook, and I thought, man, that's really cool that Jack was able to do that, and he was able to, just kind of say, hey, look, here I am, here's the scars, but I'm alive and well, and thank God for the gift of these great doctors who were able to do this for me. And the interesting thing was, while I was that same day that I saw Jack post those pictures of his scars, I was reading this book. It was called The Genius of Jesus. And in the last chapter of that, it was titled Scars. And the author is talking about a scar that he had on his face and how he was really self-conscious of that for some time. But as he was talking about this, he started talking about how our scars tell stories. And, that's what happens in that Jaws movie. Those scars were telling the stories. Jack was telling this story of survival and doing well now. And I thought, that's so true. Our scars, not just even our physical scars, but sometimes the emotional scars that we have tell stories. And some of those stories are scary stories and difficult stories. But sometimes the fact that we survived our scars tells a different story as well. So in that book that I was reading, the author focused on a story about scars in the Bible. And it was really interesting what he did with this story. Because again, it's one of those stories that I've heard before, but just the way he talked about it just had such new meaning for me. So the story about scars comes from John's Gospel, chapter 12. And this is after the resurrection of Jesus. And Jesus has come and has shown himself to the other disciples. And this is what we hear. Verse 24. But Thomas, who is called the twin, one of the 12, was not with the other disciples when Jesus came. So the other disciples told him, "We have seen the Lord." But Thomas said to them, "Unless I see the mark of nails in his hands, and put my finger in the mark of nails in his side, I will not believe." A week later, the disciples were again in the house, and Thomas was with them. Although the doors were shut, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here and see my hands. Reach out your hand and put it in my side. Do not doubt, but believe." Thomas answered him, "My Lord and my God." Do you hear the story of scars? The scars that Jesus had helped Thomas understand and believe that this was actually the physical Jesus. But here's the thing. What's the story that those scars of Jesus tell? They tell the story of love. Of someone who loved the world so much and those in the world so much that he would allow himself to be given scars. Those scars communicate to us the story of love, perhaps the greatest story of love ever told. Our scars tell stories, but that is probably the best scar story we will ever hear. Because by the scars of Jesus, all of us are in fact healed and given new life. So, what are our scars? More importantly, what do the scars of Jesus have to say about you?